Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the most compelling research and surprising insights to get you truly well-informed. Today, we're embarking on a journey into a realm once thought, well, pretty much reserved for the most exceptional human minds, the International Mathematical Olympiad, or IMO.
That's right.
And this isn't just about crunching numbers, is it? The IMO is like the ultimate Everest for mathematical brilliance.
Exactly. It demands profound insight, genuine creativity, and really rigorous proof elements that until very recently we kind of thought were uniquely human.
It's this arena where abstract thought meets, well, uncompromising logic.
Yeah, every single step of a solution has to be painstakingly justified. There's just no room for error, no assumptions allowed. For decades, this has really stood as a bastion of human cognitive supremacy, especially in deep proof-based problem solving.
And now we've got this news that's just reverberating through the AI and scientific communities. A groundbreaking research paper titled Gemini 2.5 Pro, capable of winning gold at IMO 2025. It was released just days ago, July 23, 2025, by Yichen Huang and Lin F. Yang.
And the claim is pretty astonishing.
It really is. It says Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro, an advanced large language model, or LLM, successfully solved 5 out of 6 problems from the newly released IMO 2025 competition.
5 out of 6. If that holds up, it's potentially equivalent to a human gold medal performance.
Wow.
And what's really remarkable here isn't just the number of problems solved, 5 is amazing, but it's the timing.
Right.
These weren't old problems the model might have seen in its training data somewhere.
No.
They were released only days before the evaluation. That ensures it's a truly fresh, untainted challenge for the AI. That detail is absolutely crucial, I think, for validating the rigor here.
Yeah, that makes the achievement all the more incredible. So our mission today is to take you inside this. We're going to unpack this astonishing claim. How did an AI achieve this really unprecedented level of mathematical prowess? What unique strategies, what architectural innovations were used?
And maybe the bigger question, what does this mean for our fundamental understanding of AI's reasoning capabilities?
Exactly. And the future of problem solving itself, across science, engineering, maybe even beyond. We're going to draw directly from the researchers' own words, their analysis, really peel back the layers. Okay, let's unpack this. First, let's set the stage properly and really get a feel for the sheer magnitude of the challenge.
Yeah.
The International Mathematical Olympiad, the IMO.
Yeah.
It's a name that carries immense weight, almost mythical in its difficulty.
Oh, indeed. It started way back 1959 in Romania, just 7 countries back then.
Wow.
Now, it's grown into this truly global intellectual summit, an annual competition bringing together the world's most talented pre-university mathematicians. Over 100 nations participate now, each sending a team of up to 6 brilliant young minds. It's the pinnacle for them.
And the problems themselves, we're definitely not talking about standard high school homework or even, tough university problem sets here, are we?
Oh, far from it. These are exceptionally difficult problems, designed to push the boundaries of mathematical thought. They cover diverse fields: algebra, geometry, number theory, combinatorics.
All the big ones.
Yeah. And the format is intense. 2 4.5-hour sessions over 2 days, 3 problems per session, each problem graded out of 7 points.
7 points.
And the scoring isn't just about getting the right answer. The bulk of the points, the vast majority, are for the completeness and the rigor of the proof.
Ah, the proof.
It's about building this airtight, logical argument step by step, from first principles with absolutely 0 logical gaps.
So it's not enough to just find the number.
Yeah.
You have to show your work perfectly, meticulously, build this unassailable argument. That sounds like it needs a level of insight, originality, creativity that goes way beyond rote calculation or just pattern spotting.
Precisely. It's about genuine mathematical discovery. And that emphasis on creative, proof-based reasoning is what makes the IMO not just a hallmark of human mathematical excellence, but consequently, the ultimate grand challenge for AI in mathematics.
The ideal probe, they call it.
Yeah, exactly. To see if LLMs can truly reason rather than just, replicate things they've effectively memorized.
Which brings us to why the IMO is such a unique benchmark for AI. We've seen LLMs do incredibly well on other math benchmarks, right? Like GSMAK, that's grade school math, or even the math data set for high school level stuff.
Right, and they often get high scores there through, incredibly sophisticated pattern recognition, or maybe cleverly retrieving info from their vast training data.
But IMO problems,
Yeah.
They are, like you said, a different beast altogether.
It really raises this fundamental question about the kind of intelligence we're seeing. LLMs excel at tasks you can map to statistical patterns or info retrieval,
Yeah.
but IMO problems really transcend that. They demand multi-step logical deduction, abstract thinking, real innovation, akin to human expert cognition. These problems are specifically designed to expose the limits of, let's say, more traditional AI approaches.
Like hallucinations.
Exactly. Their vulnerability to hallucinations, relying on superficial heuristics, and often a lack of true generalization to problems they haven't seen before.
So if an LLM just spits out an answer it's seen, there's something very close. That's one thing. But an IMO problem forces it to derive a solution that hasn't seen from scratch and then prove it rigorously, maybe even invent new ways to tackle it.
That's the heart of it. The IMO is the ideal probe because it tests if LLMs can truly reason, not just replicate. It gets right at those concerns about reliability in high-slips areas, like scientific discovery or formal verification, where logical soundness is absolutely paramount.
And previous attempts, how did AI fare before this?
Well, earlier attempts by even state-of-the-art models on Olympiad-level problems, including some early looks at IMO 2025 problems, showed they really struggled. They often failed to produce sound, rigorous proof, they'd fall into logical fallacies, or just lack that creative spark needed. This critical gap between pattern recognition and genuine mathematical proof, that's been the formidable barrier for AI for a long time.
It's about building those arguments with absolute certainty, isn't it? Getting the number is one thing, but explaining why it's right with an airtight proof, that's a whole different level. That's where human mathematicians really shine. Intuition meets formal rigor. Okay, so with that understanding of just how tough the IMO is, let's pivot. Let's dive into the core of this. Gemini 2.5 Pro's really astonishing achievement.
Right. So the central claim, as the paper puts it, is that Gemini 2.5 Pro, described as a strong base model released by Google, successfully solved 5 out of the 6 problems from IMO 2025.
5 out of 6.
And they present this confidently as a significant advance in automated mathematical reasoning. Just to put that in perspective, solving even one IMO problem is a remarkable achievement for a human participant, let alone a machine. A lot is truly unprecedented.
5 out of 6 is just incredible. But you mentioned a caveat earlier, the gold medal caveat. For problems 1 and 2, the model got a hint.
Yes, that's a very fair point to raise, and the researchers address it head on. For problem 1, it was prompted to try induction, and for problem 2, analytic geometry.
So does that undermine the achievement?
Well, they argue, and I think it's a reasonable argument, that these aren't obscure tricks. They're very general techniques. Induction, analytic geometry. These are standard tools any strong human mathematician or a sophisticated multi-agent AI would likely explore anyway.
Okay.
Their point is that giving these hints mostly just reduce the computational cost, guiding the model towards a viable path rather than providing some unique insight the model couldn't have found itself. They argue Gemini 2.5 Pro has the underlying reasoning capability to execute the complex steps needed for gold, even with these initial nudges. It's about showing it can execute the reasoning once pointed down a common path.
I see. So it's like a coach saying, hey, maybe try coordinates for this geometry problem, not giving away the actual solution steps. The core reasoning still comes from the AI.
Exactly.
Now, critical detail that really adds weight to this study is how meticulous they were about avoiding data contamination. Can you explain what that is and why it's such a big deal in AI evaluation?
Oh, absolutely. Data contamination is a huge issue in the field. It happens when the test data, or problems very similar to it, accidentally leaks into the massive data sets used to pre-train these LLMs.
Like seeing the exam questions beforehand.
Precisely. If the model has essentially seen the test questions or very similar ones during training, its performance isn't a true measure of its reasoning or generalization ability. It's just remembering or recognizing patterns it already encountered. That inflates the scores and gives unreliable results.
So if the training data included, say, a solved IMO problem from last year, and you tested on that same problem.
Yeah, its performance isn't real reasoning. It's more like looking up the answer.
Got it.
What makes this study particularly strong, and its claims robust, is that they exclusively use problems from the brand new IMO 2025 competition.
The ones released just days before.
Exactly. Released only days before evaluation, as they put it. This ensures what they call a pristine testbed. It gives a robust measure of the model's ability to generalize and reason on genuinely unseen challenges. This setup really minimizes the risk of data leakage, making the results far more convincing as a genuine indicator of capability.
That's a massive point. It really supports the idea that Gemini 2.5 Pro wasn't just regurgitating answers. It was actually doing complex, novel problem solving.
Yeah.
And it's also worth noting this isn't happening in a vacuum, right? There seems to be this rapid acceleration in AI math skills across the board.
You're absolutely right to bring that up. The researchers themselves mentioned that after they submitted their paper, they found out about similar, equally groundbreaking announcements.
Oh, really? From who?
OpenAI, for instance, announced achieving a gold medal standard on IMO 2025. And Google DeepMind also made a comparable claim.
Wow. So multiple labs hitting this milestone almost simultaneously.
Exactly. This convergence suggests it's a genuine breakthrough moment for automated mathematical reasoning. It's not just one team getting lucky. The whole field seems to be hitting a new level, and it's happening incredibly fast.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The secret sauce here wasn't just raw compute or more data. The researchers credit this meticulously built self-verification pipeline combined with careful prompt design.
Yes.
This sounds like it's mimicking how an expert human mathematician works, right? Iterating, self-correcting.
It absolutely does. Think about an elite mathematician. They don't just try to solve a complex problem once and hope they got it right.
No way.
No, they'll spend hours, maybe days, refining their solution, checking every logical step, hunting for flaws in their own reasoning, maybe even trying completely different approaches if they get stuck. That's exactly the kind of iterative, self-improving process this pipeline tries to formalize for the AI.
Fascinating. Okay, let's walk through this pipeline step by step. What's the first pass?
Step 1 is initial solution generation. The model makes its first attempt, but it's guided by a very specific prompt, and this prompt is key. It emphasizes two things. Rigor is paramount, and honesty about completeness.
Okay, so aim for rigor and admit if you haven't finished.
Exactly. The goal isn't just a quick answer, but a complete and rigorously justified solution right from the start. But interestingly, the researchers found these initial solutions were often, quote, pretty low quality.
Really?
Yeah. Incomplete, errors, lacking rigor. This actually lines up with other findings about LLM problem solving. The raw first pass output usually isn't enough for something like an IMO proof. The pipeline steps after this are what really boost the quality.
So the first draft is often messy, like a human's first attempt might be.
Yeah.
What happens next after this initial, maybe flawed solution?
Step 2 is all about self-improvement, and this step tackles a really big practical constraint for LLMs, the thinking budget.
Thinking budget.
Yeah. So Gemini 2.5 Pro, despite being powerful, has a maximum output limit of 32,768 tokens. The researchers found this token limit is often not enough for a typical IMO problem.
Why not?
Because even proving seemingly trivial intermediate steps within a big proof can eat up thousands of tokens. The model would often just run out of budget in step 1 and stop.
Huh. That's fascinating. It's like a human brain having limited working memory or mental energy for a really huge task. You just run out of steam before you can finish the whole argument.
Exactly. So the pipeline cleverly gets around this by effectively injecting another budget of thinking tokens. It breaks the process down. The model can review its previous work, see where it got to, and then continue with a fresh batch of tokens. It basically extends its thinking time.
That's smart.
And they saw noticeable improvements during this phase, confirming it works. It's a sophisticated way to manage the AI's cognitive load for sustained, multi-stage reasoning.
Okay, so initial solution, then self-improvement to overcome token limits. Then comes the verifier. This sounds like the quality control stage.
It absolutely is. Steps 3, 4, and 5 are all centered around this verifier component. Its main job is to carefully review a solution step by step and find out issues. And the big emphasis, again, is mathematical rigor. Think of it as a super critical, meticulous proofreader.
How does it classify the issues it finds? Does it just say wrong, or is it more nuanced?
Oh, it's very nuanced, much like a human grader. Issues fall into two main types: critical errors and justification gaps.
Okay. Critical errors sound bad.
They are demonstrably false statements, clear logical fallacies, something that completely breaks the chain of logic, like a bad algebraic step. If the verifier finds one, it stops checking subsequent steps that depend on that error.
But it keeps checking other parts.
Yes, which is smart. It keeps scanning the rest of the solution, like maybe other branches and a proof by cases, to see what else might be wrong or right independently.
That's sophisticated, not just stopping at the first mistake.
Yeah.
And justification gaps.
These are steps where the conclusion might actually be correct, but the argument given is incomplete, lacks rigor, or relies on some unstated assumption. And here's where the verifier is really insightful. It assumes the conclusion of that step is true just for argument's sake,
Oh, interesting.
and then it keeps checking the following steps. This lets it assess the rest of the argument and find other potential issues, even if the current step's explanation is weak. It shows a remarkably nuanced understanding of proof verification, like a human grader giving partial credit or looking at the overall flow, not just a binary right-wrong.
So after this meticulous review, the verifier produces a bug report. But step 4, does the AI check its own homework checker?
Pretty much. Step 4 is crucial: review of the bug report. This is where you see this meta-level self-correction. If the verifier itself makes a mistake, flags something as an issue when it's not, a false positive, that false report gets identified and deleted.
Wow.
This step really increases the reliability of the bug report before it gets fed back to the main model. It's the system checking its own verification process.
That's amazing. The AI isn't just checking the solution, it's checking the checker. A robust feedback loop. And then step 5, I assume, is fixing the bugs.
Precisely. In step 5, the main solution generating model tries to improve the solution based on that refined bug report. And this whole cycle, verify, review, bug report, correct, iterates multiple times.
How many times?
A solution only gets accepted if it robustly passes the verification process, which means passing the verifier 5 times consecutively without any critical errors or major justification gaps.
5 times in a row. That's a high bar.
It is. If errors or major gaps persist after multiple tries, the solution is declined. It hasn't met the standard.
How reliable did this verifier system turn out to be? Did it miss things?
Qualitatively, the researchers observed that critical errors are seldom missed.
Okay.
And if an error is missed on one pass, running it a few more times significantly ups the chance of catching it. They also noted that even if the verifier flags something that isn't strictly a critical error, it nearly always points to a part that needs clarification or better presentation. So the feedback is still useful. The system's robustness comes from this iteration, and the main model's own review capabilities, they call it analogous to the peer review process.
Right, like authors revising based on reviewer comments, even if they don't agree with every point, it still improves the final product.
Exactly. It's a multi-layered system of checks and balances aiming for maximum rigor.
And the practical settings. Any external help like calculators or web search?
Critically, no. No external tools like web search, code execution, or math software. The model relied purely on its internal knowledge and reasoning, guided by this pipeline.
That's impressive.
They also used a low temperature setting of 0.1 for the LLM. Low temperature means the output is more deterministic, less random, more focused, crucial when you need rigorous proofs, not creative writing. And they use the max thinking budget, 32,768 tokens per step, like we discussed.
Okay, this is where the abstract stuff comes alive. Let's get into the specific examples. How did Gemini 2.5 Pro actually tackle these IMO problems? Starting with problem 1, combinatorics, sunny lines.
Right. This problem involves a grid, these sunny lines, specific types of lines, and figuring out possible values for k, the number of sunny lines needed to cover certain points. And yes, this is the one where it got the hint, let us try to solve the problem by induction.
The prompt we talked about. Did the researchers feel this was cheating? How do they justify it?
They addressed it directly. Their argument is that induction is a profoundly general technique, especially in combinatorics. It's something a strong human or a sophisticated AI system would likely try anyway.
So it just saved time.
Pretty much. It guided the model towards a known, effective approach, saving a lot of computational resources compared to just letting it explore randomly. It didn't give away the core problem-solving insight, just streamlined the search for how to solve it.
Okay, so how did the AI actually solve it using induction? What was the reasoning like?
The solution is really well structured. First, it uses this clever technique of reduction to a core problem. It rigorously proves a lemma.
A lemma, like a mini-theorem.
Exactly. It proves that if you use certain principal boundary lines like x1 or x plus y n plus 1 to cover points, you can basically transform the problem into an equivalent smaller version for n1 using the same number of sunny lines.
Simplifying the problem.
Yeah. Repeating this reduction leads to a core problem with m lines covering a smaller set, where none of the lines are principal boundary lines of that smaller set. And from that core problem, it rigorously proves all m lines must be sunny lines. So, kilometer. This reduction step itself is a significant intellectual move, showing abstract problem transformation.
That is clever.
Yeah?
What about figuring out the possible values of k? That often involves tricky case analysis.
It does. The AI then systematically analyzes K0, 1, 2, 3, and K4. For K0 and K1, it gives simple constructions showing they're possible. For K2, it meticulously proves it's impossible. It shows two sunny lines just can't cover all the required points in S2. One point always gets left out.
Proving impossibility. That's harder than finding a solution sometimes.
It often is. For K3, it provides specific, non-trivial examples of three sunny lines that do cover all the points in S3, demonstrating possibility.
Nice balance of construction and deduction. And for K, greater than or equal to 4. That sounds like the really hard part.
This is where it gets really interesting, showing serious combinatorial proof power. For K4, it gives a rigorous proof of impossibility using a clever contradiction argument. It involves permutations, collinearity of points. It's quite abstract.
How does that work?
It sets up properties that permutations related to line intersections must satisfy. Then, through two detailed subproofs, it shows that if K is 4 or more, you inevitably run into contradictions with the definition of sunny lines and how they intersect specific grid points. It leads to an irrefutable conclusion that no such configuration can exist. This is a deep combinatorial argument, the ability not just to find solutions, but to rigorously prove the limits of a system. That's sophisticated mathematical reasoning. It goes way beyond just calculation.
So it didn't just guess. It systematically broke it down, reduced it, analyzed cases, proved impossibility. The final conclusion. For N3, only K values 0, 1, 3 are possible, with general constructions provided. That's a complete, elegant solution. Okay, let's move to problem 2. Euclidean geometry. Circles, orthocenters, tangency. This sounds like a classic geometry challenge, and this was the one prompted with analytic geometry.
Yes, exactly. A complex proof involving two circles, intersections, circumcenters, orthocenters. Proving a specific line is tangent to a circumcircle. The prompt to use analytic geometry was, again, framed as a general method.
Right.
The researchers noted this one was actually considered easiest for AI among those solved.
Why is that?
Primarily because LLMs tend to be very good at the kind of straightforward calculations involved in coordinate geometry. Lots of algebra. Interestingly, Gemini 2.5 Pro got it almost correct on the first try. The verifier only had to catch small calculation mistakes.
So its algebraic strength and the self-correction pipeline were key here. How did it set up the problem using coordinates? That first step is often critical.
Absolutely. The setup is crucial. The solution immediately establishes a standard Cartesian coordinate system. It puts the line connecting the circle centers on the x-axis, the common chord on the y-axis, and their intersection at the origin, 0, 0.
Standard approach.
Standard, but executed correctly. Then it meticulously derives the coordinates for all the key points mentioned in the problem, A, B, M, N, C, D, using the circle equations and problem conditions. This involves solving quadratics, handling square roots carefully, demonstrates real algebraic fluency.
And it proved preliminary lemmas first. That sounds very structured.
It is. It shows it's building a solid foundation. It establishes two key properties, that C plus D is not 0 and that A2 plus CD is negative. These proofs need careful algebra and logic based on the geometry given, like radii relationships and point ordering. These lemmas are fundamental for the complex calculations later.
Then it had to find coordinates for P, a circumcenter, and H, an orthocenter.
Yeah.
Sounds like heavy lifting.
It really is. This is where the AI's sheer algebraic stamina comes through. It derives P's coordinates using the property that a circumcenter is equidistant from the triangle's vertices, leading to a system of equations. For H, the orthocenter, it uses the definition, intersection of altitudes.
Right.
This means finding perpendicular slopes, writing line equations, solving for intersections, all while juggling complex expressions involving the previously found coordinates. Expressing, say, the orthocenter coordinate requires a cascade of substitutions and simplifications. It's managing a huge web of symbolic math.
And then tackling line AP and its intersections.
Correct. It derives the slope of AP, finds formulas for the other intersection points E and F, but what's really remarkable is the next step. It meticulously derives 4 specific auxiliary algebraic identities.
Identities?
Yeah, complex, non-obvious relationships between the variables, M, N, A, C, D, the slope. The LLM performs these non-trivial manipulations strategically to make the later, even more complex parts of the proof manageable. That's just planning, not just calculation.
And it all builds up to the final tangency proof.
Exactly. The ultimate goal. The AI derives the center, K, and squared radius, RK2, of the circumcircle of triangle, BEF. Again, massive algebraic effort, carefully using all the previously derived stuff.
How does it prove tangency?
The culmination is showing that the squared distance from K, the circumcenter, to the line LH, the line through H parallel to AP, is exactly equal to RK2. It computes both sides of this equation using all those complex expressions it derived and demonstrates through painstaking algebra that they are equal. It's an incredibly impressive algebraic feat. Sustained, rigorous, symbolic proof.
Wow. Okay, let's switch gears to problem 3. Number theory, functional equations, bonds of functions. This sounds like it tests deep understanding of abstract concepts.
It absolutely does. It defines these bonds of functions with specific properties and asks for the smallest constant c such that fn is always less than or equal to cn. The paper notes something interesting here. They sampled 20 times and succeeded in obtaining a rigorous solution.
Only 20 samples?
Relatively speaking, yes. They compare this to other findings where similar problems needed way more samples, maybe hundreds of thousands, without this iterative pipeline. It really highlights the benefit of Gemini 2.5 Pro's self-verification and improvement loop.
So iteration was key again. How did the solution start unraveling this bonds of function puzzle?
First step, a foundational proof, very common in math. Prove F11. The AI uses proof by contradiction, leveraging prime divisor properties from the definition, establishes a crucial baseline.
Then it digs deeper using this concept, SF. What's that?
SF is defined as the set of prime numbers that divide any output fn of the function. The AI then rigorously proves two key properties about SF property 1. If a prime p is in SF and p divides fb, then p must also divide b. That's a powerful restriction.
Okay.
Then it proves lemma A for any prime p in SFFB is congruent to b modulo p. This proof involves showing fp is a power of p and then using Fermat's little theorem.
Classic number theory tool.
Exactly. And lemma B proves that for any prime q not in SF, fq must equal 1. Together, these lemmas really pin down the fundamental behavior of bonds of functions.
This sounds like the aha moment where the structure starts revealing itself, moving from definitions to specific powerful constraints.
It is, but the real intellectual breakthrough comes in step 3, classification of bonds of functions. The AI derives this crucial, non-obvious condition. For any prime p in SF and any prime q not in SFE must be congruent to 1 modulo p.
That sounds specific.
Very. The solution then systematically analyzes what this implies for the possible structure of SF. It considers 3 exhaustive cases. SF is empty, SF contains all primes, or SF is a non-empty proper subset of primes.
And that third case sounds like where the deep number theory comes in.
Absolutely. This is a beautiful piece of reasoning. The AI proves SF can't be an infinite proper subset that leads to a contradiction about integers having infinite prime factors. Impossible.
Right.
If SF is finite and non-empty, say P1 pre, then any prime q not in SF must satisfy q in A01 mod p, where p is the product p1.pr, using Dirtlett's theorem on arithmetic progressions.
Another big gun from number theory.
Which guarantees infinitely many primes in certain sequences. The AI makes this incredibly clever argument. For this condition q1 mod p to hold across all primes outside a finite set SF, the product p must be 2.
P must be 2, but p is the product of primes in SF.
Exactly. Which means SF must be just the set 2. That's the only possibility for a finite, non-empty, proper subset SF. It's a remarkably deep argument that drastically limits what SF can be. True mathematical elegance and abstraction.
So these bonds of functions are way more constrained than you'd first think. SF can only be empty. All primes are just 2. What happens in step 4 after this classification?
Step 4 analyzes the ratio FNN for each case. If SF is empty, FN1, so FNN is 1 and max value 1. If SF is all primes, FNN, so FN is 1.
Okay.
The complex case is SF2. Here, FN is 1 for odd n. For even n, FN is a power of 2. The AI derives constraints on this power. The exponent kn must satisfy kn is v2m plus 2, and also kn at v2n is the highest power of 2 dividing n. These derivations require careful use of the Bonza definition and properties of the two-adic valuation.
In step 5, constructing a maximal function and finding c.
Yes. The AI constructs a specific function SNL based on these derived upper bounds designed to be maximal. It then meticulously verifies that this SNL actually is a Bonza function for all inputs more intricate number theory needed there. Finally, it calculates the maximum value supremum of S0nn. For odd n, it's equals 1. For even n, it finds the maximum occurs when n is a power of 2, specifically n2s where s equals 2. In that case, S0nn becomes 4, e.g. n equals 4, 8, 16.
So the constant c is 4. Wow. From definition to deep properties, classification, construction, and a final numerical answer backed by rigorous proof. That really shows abstraction and handling complex arguments.
Okay, let's tackle problem 4, another number theory one, this time about proper divisors and infinite sequences. Sounds like it needs precise logic.
It definitely does. It defines an infinite sequence where an plus 1 is the sum of the 3 largest proper divisors of an. Key conditions. Each term needs at least 3 proper divisors, and the sequence must be infinite. The goal? Find all possible starting values, A1.
How does it start?
It correctly notes the fundamental relationship. The 3 largest proper divisors of n are nd2, nd3, and d4, where d2, d3, d4 are the smallest divisors greater than 1. Crucial starting point.
And then it needs to find constraints on n for the sequence to be infinite. Lots of proofs by contradiction again. Exactly. The AI shows remarkable deductive power, proving 3 crucial lemmas that severely restrict the properties of any term in such a sequence.
Number 1.
N must be even. The proof is classic contradiction. If any term ake were odd, all its divisors are odd. The sum of the 3 largest, ake plus 1, would also be odd. Then it proves that for any odd n with enough divisors, the sum fn is strictly less than n. A strictly decreasing sequence of positive integers has to end. Violates the infinite condition. Elegantly rules out all odd numbers.
Very neat. What about lemma 2? Divisibility by 3.
Yes, n must be divisible by 3. Similar logic. If a term isn't divisible by 3, the sequence either strictly decreases, terminates, or eventually hits an odd term. Impossible by lemma 1. The AI meticulously analyzes edge cases, like factors being congruent to 2 mod 3, showing they inevitably lead to failure. It's a multi-layered proof showing real logical depth.
And lemma 3 involved ruling out divisibility by 5.
Correct. No term n can be divisible by 5. This is where constraints interact. Using lemmas 1 and 2, any valid n is divisible by 2 and 3. If it's also divisible by 5, the AI analyzes cases based on the power of 2, v2. If v2 and 1, the next term becomes odd, fails lemma 1. So if a term is divisible by 5, all terms must have v2 and equals 2.
Okay.
But the AI then shows that if v2 and v3 3n, the recurrence becomes an all plus 1 equals 13, 12. This reduces the powers of 2 and 3. v2 drops by 2, v3 drops by 1. This can't go on forever without eventually violating lemma 1 or 2, so no term can be divisible by 5, another sophisticated impossibility proof.
So combining these powerful lemmas, any valid term must be of the form 2a3bm, where a1, b1, and m's prime factors are all 7 or more. That really narrows it down.
That's the solid foundation for the main analysis. The AI then systematically categorizes possible A1 values based on A, the exponent of 2.
Case 1, A1.
If A1n looks like 21,3bm, b1m's primes equals 7. The smallest divisors are 1, 2, 3. The next smallest d4 must be 6, since 23, 6, and factors of m are 7. Plugging these into the sum formula Fn and 1d2 plus 1d3 plus 1d4 get
12 plus 13 plus 16. That's
exactly Fn and 1 in 1. These numbers are fixed points of the function. The AI confirms they have enough divisors, so any integer of this form is a valid A1, guaranteeing an infinite constant sequence.
Okay. And case 2, A2, V2, and 2.
If A2, n is divisible by 2, 3, and 4. Smallest divisors are 1, 2, 3, 4. The sum formula becomes Fn and 12 plus 13 plus 14 equals n through 3, 12. This recurrence changes, and v2 goes down by 2, v3 goes down by 1.
Like we saw in the lemma 3 proof.
Right. For the sequence to be infinite, it can't just keep changing like this forever. It would violate the lemmas. It must eventually transition to a case 1 fixed point where v2 becomes 1. This means the initial exponent a must be odd, so it decreases 1, 3, 5, eventually hitting 1, not 0. And the initial exponent b must be large enough to survive the decrease until a hits 1. The condition derived is b a plus 1, 2. The AI also verifies the divisor count constraint holds during this transition.
So a complete classification. A1 must be 2a, 3bm, m's prime express, and we're either a1, b1, or a is odd 3 and b a plus 1, 2. That's incredibly thorough. Multi-step deduction, deriving constraints, managing complex interacting properties over time. All right, let's get into problem 5, the inequality game. Game theory. This sounds like a very different kind of reasoning. Strategic thinking.
It's a truly fascinating two-player game, Alice and Bozza. Rules depend on a positive real number, lambda. Alice moves on odd turns, Bozza on even. Alice is constraint. Sum of all moves so far, Sn, Bozza's constraint. Sum of squares of all moves so far, Qn.
And if you can't move, you lose. Infinite game is a draw. Find winning strategies based on lambda.
Exactly. The AI solution is really elegant here. It dissects the problem into 3 distinct regimes for lambda, each with a different outcome.
Okay, case 1. Lambda is greater than square 2, 2. Who wins?
Alice has a winning strategy here. The AI outlines her offensive plan. win on a specific odd turn, 2-1, by making it impossible for Baza to move next. It shows Alice can pick an m large enough such that lambda m squared art 2 r to 1. This is always possible because that function approaches square 2 from above. Until turn 2-1, Alice just plays x0, saving her sum budget.
Smart. But what's Bez's best defense? You have to consider optimal play from both sides.
Absolutely. Beza wants to maximize a certain function related to his remaining square budget to survive. The AI uses the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality.
Oh, that fundamental inequality again. Useful.
Very. It proves Beza's maximum defense value, his best play, results in a specific value related to m squared art 2, 2. This maximum defense is achieved if Beza consistently plays by 2k on his turns, or as close as his budget allows.
So even if Basil plays perfectly using Cauchy-Schwarz, Alice still wins.
Yes, if lambda scored 2. Alice's choice of Mn ensures her winning condition holds even against Baza's best defense. Her chosen turn 2-1 allows her to make a move that uses up just enough budget to win because lambda is large enough to overcome Baza's optimal score 2 plays. Shows analysis of optimal play and counterplay.
Okay, case 2. Lambda is less than score 2. Tables turned.
Indeed. Now Baza has a winning strategy. Baza plays to maximize his square usage, essentially playing by 2k close to score 2 whenever possible, specifically score 2k q2k1. The AI shows Alice cannot win against this.
What's Alice's best move to survive?
Her best hope is to keep her sum ad as small as possible. The solution proves her optimal defensive play is to always choose by 2k1 or u0 on her turns.
And even playing optimally defensively, she still loses.
Correct. The AI demonstrates that even with Alice playing 0, because lambda is too small, the cumulative sum S2-2 she's allowed will eventually be less than the sum Baza forces through his optimal play, related to sums of square 2. She'll eventually reach a turn where she simply cannot make a move without violating her S-int lambda and constraint. Baza wins.
And finally, case 3, lambda equals score t2, the boundary case.
This is a draw. Neither player has a winning strategy. The AI rigorously proves this by showing both players have defensive strategies that neutralize the other's potential win.
How so?
Alice can't win because Baza's defensive strategy, playing close to square 2, prevents her from ever satisfying her winning condition, which would require playing square 2 eventually. Baza can't win because Alice's defensive strategy, playing 0, prevents him from ever forcing her sum Soro to exceed her budget limit lambdan when lambda is exactly score 2.
So it's a perfect standoff. They could play forever. For instance, Alice plays 0, Baza plays score 2.
Exactly, a draw. It's a remarkably complete analysis of a complex game. Shows strategic reasoning, using advanced tools like Cauchy-Schwarz, analyzing optimal play for both sides, and classifying outcomes based on that critical lambda parameter.
Okay, before we wrap up with the implications, just a quick note on problem 6. The paper was honest about that one.
Yes, very candid. For problem 6, a complex combinatorial geometry tiling problem on a 2025 by 2025 grid, the paper states plainly, the model only reports the trivial upper bound 40-48. Meaning it didn't solve it. It identified a very basic constraint but couldn't produce a full, rigorous solution. It shows that this specific problem, perhaps needing more visual spatial reasoning or a very different kind of combinatorial insight, was beyond the model's reach in this setup.
That's important context, grounds the successes. Why might that problem have been harder?
Tiling problems often require highly creative, non-obvious constructions or incredibly nuanced case analysis that can explode computationally. While the AI aced the analytic geometry, more algebraic, tiling might need different insights, maybe less reducible to symbolic manipulation or induction. It's a reminder that even with these huge advances, there are still frontiers in mathematical reasoning for AI. It's not a silver bullet for every type of math problem yet.
So, stepping back, what does this truly astonishing achievement, solving 5 IMO problems, fundamentally mean for AI? We seem to be moving way beyond just pattern matching.
It feels like it. This work shows a clear capacity for multi-step logical deduction, for abstraction like classifying those Banza functions, and even innovation in proof strategies. It really does hint at a form of true reasoning, not just replicating memorized solutions or finding statistical correlations.
Those aha moments.
Exactly. The elegant classification in problem 3, the impossibility proof in problem 1, the complex algebraic derivations in problem 2, these were always seen as hallmarks of human intuition, creativity, deep understanding, maybe uniquely human. This work fundamentally challenges that long-held idea.
It's like the AI is showing signs of generating genuine insights, discovering mathematical truths. That shifts the whole conversation about AI understanding. What do the researchers themselves see coming next?
They're optimistic and already looking ahead. They explicitly state they expect stronger mathematical capability by using a diverse set of leading models together, mentioning others like Grok 4, OpenAIO series. They believe combining strengths from different models could lead to even more robust problem solving.
And they also mentioned multi-agent systems. That sounds like more than just combining models.
That's right. They anticipate even bigger leaps with multi-agent systems where strengths of different solutions can be combined, maybe analogous to how Grok 4 Heavy works. They think such systems could allow for more exploration of different methods, like how those hints for problems 1 and 2 were framed as general techniques an exploration system would find.
So AI systems that autonomously try multiple approaches, verify them, integrate the best parts.
That seems to be the vision.
It's just staggering to think about the speed of progress. A few years ago, LLMs really struggled with Olympiad math. Now, gold medal potential on unseen IMO problems released just days before. The pace is breathtaking.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this is where we are now, what's truly next for automated reasoning and discovery?
What a deep dive we've had today. Into the IMO, its incredible challenge, and how this meticulously designed AI pipeline let Gemini 2.5 Pro achieve such remarkable success. And this isn't just about math contests, is it? If an AI can rigorously reason, abstract, self-correct on problems, this complex problems needing creativity and insight, what does that imply for other huge challenges? Science, engineering, maybe even theoretical physics or philosophy?
How does it reshape human-AI collaboration and discovery itself?
Exactly. Are we seeing the dawn of a new kind of creative intelligence? One that could augment, maybe even accelerate, our own quest for knowledge? It feels like we're just beginning to understand these capabilities.